Hi, I'm Charles Liddell, Senior Advisor and Australia Chair here at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. I'm thrilled to welcome the Honorable Pat Conroy, dual-hatted as both Australia's Minister for International Development and the Pacific, as well as Australia's Minister for Defence Industry and Capability Delivery. Minister Conroy, thanks so much for joining us today. Can you tell us what brings you to Washington?
Wearing both my hats, I'm here in Washington to talk about what Australia is doing in the Pacific, using every tool of statecraft, from sports diplomacy to foreign aid to people-to-people links to policing support, to be the best partner of choice in the Pacific. Secondly, as Minister for Defence Industry, to talk about greater defence industrial collaboration, particularly around delivery of AUKUS. So it's a great time to be here engaging with my counterparts in the US system and great think tanks like CSIS.
That's terrific. I'm hoping you can unpack for us a little bit this phrase that we heard that you've just used about Australia's now going to endeavor to use every tool of statecraft to advance its national interests around the region. What does that mean in practice?
It means that there is no foreign policy lever we won't pull to be the best friend to the Pacific as a proud Pacific country. So that includes being the biggest development partner to the region, having 35,000 Pacific Islanders working in our economy, sending money back home and filling labour shortages and getting great skills, permanently migrating to Australia, building a Pacific policing capability, Pacific maritime awareness, to things like sports diplomacy and supporting a greater sports participation in the region.
That's terrific. I know this is something that you tend to be quite passionate about. Can you just tell us a little bit about that sports diplomacy element?
Absolutely. So we support Fijian rugby union participation in Pacific competitions. I'm negotiating right now for a rugby league team from Papua New Guinea to enter our national competition. Nothing will bring the two countries together, and it complements Prime Minister Marape's vision of uniting 1,000 tribes through rugby league. So it's a huge privilege to be part of it, and if I had one legacy in my political career, being involved in that would be it.
Perfect. Well, look, before you get back on the plane, you were telling me that you're in the midst of a 12-day around-the-world flight. Hopefully you get to sleep, but when you're not sleeping, what are you reading on the plane?
I'm actually rereading an old favourite, which is Robert Massie's Dreadnought, which is all about the lead up to this First World War and the naval arms race that drove a lot of the rivalries. So it's a fascinating book. I'm not saying that there are parallels now, but it's a lesson about great power rivalry and links to defence innovation and arms races. That's certainly relevant nowadays.
Well, the good news is it's not a particularly short book, so you'll have plenty of fodder for the plane ride home. But thanks so much for visiting with us today, and thanks everyone for tuning in for another episode of Pacific Policy Pulse.